66 million years ago, the sky belonged to giants. On the land, giants walked through forests and mountains.
Beneath the waters, monsters ruled the seas. This was the Earth 66 million years ago. We've been told they were just big lizards, but 2026 technology has finally allowed us to see the truth. They were colorful, they were fast, and they were terrifyingly smart. We are going to explore the three kingdoms of the Cretaceous, the monsters of the deep, the shadows in the sky, and the kings of the soil. If you think a lion is a predator, you haven't seen anything. Let's go back to the world before us. Let's start on the ground, where the weight of life was at its peak. The king of this world, the one everyone knows, was the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But forget the movie version. The real T-Rex of 66 million years ago was covered in dark, bristly feathers. It didn't roar. It emitted a low-frequency growl that you could feel in your teeth from a mile away. It had the strongest bite force of any land animal in history, enough to crush a car like a soda can. But he wasn't alone. Walking right alongside him with a Triceratops. These weren't peaceful cows, they were the tanks of the prehistoric world. With three massive horns and a shield made of solid bone around their necks, they were the only things that could go head-to-head with a T-Rex and win. And then there were the Edmontosaurus, the giant duck-billed dinosaurs. They traveled in herds of thousands, moving like a living wall across the plains. Imagine a herd of animals the size of school buses moving toward you. The sound of their footsteps was like a constant rolling thunder. This was a world where small meant the size of a horse. If you couldn't fight, you had to be fast. If you couldn't run, you had to be armor-plated. Now, look up. 66 million years ago, the sky didn't belong to birds. It belonged to the pterosaurs. The most famous of them all was Quetzalcoatlus. Think about this. Quetzalcoatlus was as tall as a giraffe when it stood on the ground. Its wingspan was 35 feet, the size of a small private airplane. These weren't just flying lizards, they were masters of the air currents. They could fly across entire oceans without flapping their wings once. But here's the scary part. They didn't just eat fish. New 2026 research shows that these giants would land on the ground and stalk their prey like giant storks. They could swallow a human-sized animal in a single gulp. Imagine looking up and seeing a shadow the size of a plane, knowing that it's looking down at you as a snack. There was no safety in the open air. The sky was a hunting ground, and the pterosaurs were the undisputed lords of the clouds.
If you thought the land was dangerous, the water was 1,000 times worse. 66 million years ago, the oceans were home to the Mosasaurus. This wasn't a dinosaur, it was a marine lizard that grew to be 55 feet long. It had a second set of teeth in the back of its throat to make sure nothing it bit ever escaped. It was the T-Rex of the ocean. It ate sharks, it ate giant sea turtles, and it even ate other mosasaurs. And swimming alongside them were the Plesiosaurs, with their incredibly long necks. They looked like the Loch Ness Monster, but they were very real and very deadly. They would hide their massive bodies in the dark, murky depths and use their long necks to strike at schools of fish like an underwater cobra.
The water wasn't a place to cool off. It was a place where you were bottom of the food chain. Even the small predators in the water were the size of a great white shark. If you fell in, you didn't drown, you were deleted. How did a world this violent keep going? It was all about the predator-prey balance. We have dinosaurs like the velociraptor, which in reality was about the size of a large turkey, but covered in feathers and armed with a killing claw that could disembowel a prey animal in seconds. They hunted in packs, using strategy to take down animals 5 times their size. Then you have the Ankylosaurus. This was the fortress of the ground. Its entire back was covered in bone armor, and its tail ended in a massive stone club. One swing from that club could shatter the leg of a T-Rex. This was a 24-hour-a-day war for survival. The herbivores, the plant eaters, had to grow massive and armored just to stay alive, while the carnivores, the meat eaters, had to become faster and more powerful just to eat. It was an evolutionary arms race that lasted for millions of years. Every single creature was a masterpiece of biology, designed for one thing: to not be the last one standing when the sun went down. So what happened? 66 million years ago, a rock the size of Mount Everest hit the Earth and ended the party. But as we've discussed, it didn't kill everything. The small, feathered dinosaurs, the ones that could hide in burrows and eat almost anything, they survived. Today, we call them birds. When you look at a chicken or a hawk, you are looking at the direct descendants of the monsters we just talked about. The king of the soil might be gone, but his cousins are still in your backyard. I've put the 2026 digital reconstructions of the Mosasaur and the feathered T-Rex in the pinned comment below. Go look at how they actually looked. It's way scarier than the movies. And hit subscribe, because next week we're going to look at the de-extinction labs that are trying to bring these kings back to life. The Earth hasn't forgotten the dinosaurs, and in 2026 we're finally learning to remember them. See you in the past.